Well, tonight, people across the city of Davis are being warned that they shouldn't be out at night, especially alone, after 3 people were stabbed in less than a week, all of them outdoors, all at night.
2 of those victims were killed and a third is fighting for her life tonight. Police are sorting through tips to find the person or people responsible for these attacks.
The attacks with knives were particularly brutal and violent.
The series of stabbings started last week when a man was stabbed to death at Central Park. Then Saturday night, a UC Davis student was stabbed at Sycamore Park. He was also killed. And then last night, a homeless woman was stabbed while she was in a tent at 2nd and L Streets. She is in critical but stable condition. As police search for the person or people committing these crimes, the city is now making some changes to protect people.
Yeah, some businesses are even closing early now, and classes after 6 o'clock at UC Davis will be held remotely. That starts now. We have live team coverage tonight, diving deep into the investigation so far, the resources for people who are living on the streets, also the action being taken to try to protect students. Let's start, though, with our Ty Steele, who is anchoring our coverage right now from Davis Police Headquarters. Ty.
Yeah, good evening. Urgency and teamwork would be the 2 words I would use to describe the activity outside the Davis Police Headquarters here. There have been dozens and dozens of law enforcement agents from across the region all descending on the headquarters here, coming and going, all part of this investigation, not only to find whoever is responsible for these brutal attacks, but also to keep the normal business operations happening here at the Davis Police Department. We did get an update on the investigation earlier today. Let's take it back to Thursday, April 27, when this all began. A well-known community member, David Brose, known as the Compassion Guy, was found stabbed to death at Central Park, slumped over on a bench that he had been known to sit on and also sleep on. Then on Saturday, a UC Davis student was stabbed to death at Sycamore Park, just 2.5 miles from where I stand here at the police headquarters. And then last night, a 64-year-old woman was stabbed more than once through a tent at a homeless camp at 2nd and L Streets, and she was actually one of the people who called 911. Police say the cases have obvious similarities, but they are still investigating whether or not they are officially connected. I did have a conversation with the police chief right outside the police headquarters here about 2 hours ago, and I asked him, hey, are these connected? Is this a serial stabbing situation? And he said, you know what, when you look at the case, it definitely looks like that is likely, but I don't want to pigeonhole my investigators into thinking only one way when it comes to the investigation or pigeonhole the community. I want people to keep an open mind. So that is where we are at. For the latest on the investigation, we go to KCRA 3's Brittany Hope. She joins us now with the very latest on the answers we are still waiting for from law enforcement. Brittany?
Hi, Ty, and I want to touch a little bit more on what the police chief is saying, talking about are these connected or not. Right now, he said he has 3 different investigations teams focused on each different stabbing, and then he has teams who are looking at all of the connections there. So those are all the steps he says that he needs to take in order to determine, is this a serial killer situation? Is this a serial stabbing situation? Now, in Davis, stabbings are very rare. If they do happen at all, it's usually just a few stab wounds, and it's more of a distraction so that the suspect can steal something from the victim. That's according to the police chief. But these situations, like what happened here at Sycamore Park, where that 20-year-old UC Davis student was stabbed and killed on Saturday night, the police chief says that they are particularly brazen, violent, gory, and that there's multiple stab wounds in each of these cases. A sobering message from the Davis police chief today.
People should have a buddy system right now.
After 3 violent stabbings in the city in just 5 days, last night's at a homeless encampment is causing new worries for investigators.
Particularly concerning, and that the suspect didn't seem to care that there were several witnesses who could identify him.
There seems to be a pattern where it's every other night. We had Thursday night, Saturday night, Monday night. Is that part of the investigation, that there could be a pattern to this?
We've noticed a similar pattern.
A pattern, yes, but a motive, whether this is one person or multiple people responsible, they say they just don't know.
We cannot yet rule out that we're not dealing with 3 separate crimes. So until we have evidence to conclusively say that all 3 are related, we have to keep our options open.
Evidence they're hoping they'll get from the community. So far, they've received hundreds of tips, but not enough surveillance video. With many people in Davis scared to leave their homes or go to school, the mayor says it is critical for everyone in this usually quiet city to be alert.
We will hold and keep our families close, as I have been holding my own young children close. We will walk together. We will bike together. We will look out for one another.
And back out here live, just from being in Davis the past few days, there is definitely a heavy presence over this city. Definitely quieter than usual, not as many people using the bike packs as you'd normally see. We do want to update you a little bit more on the investigation, though. Police do say that they have 3 different crime labs who are working on this. That's thanks to the FBI, the Department of Justice, and the Sacramento County District Attorney, who has also stepped in. The goal with that is to find evidence that could help link them to a suspect. The police chief said maybe they could have some updates from that evidence as soon as tonight, but we'll see. For now, we're live at Sycamore Park. Brittany Hope, KCRA 3 News.
And you've been on this case all day, Brittany. Some great reporting out there. Tell us more about the evidence they do and do not have.
So limited information on what they do have, and that's really because they have to keep this investigation, the integrity of it, clean so that they have a clear case and that they can bring forward all of this to the public as soon as they're ready. What they sent to those 3 crime labs, we weren't privy to. At this point, they're not really releasing that, but they did say the goal is for them to find evidence from that. So it's things that were collected at the 3 scenes. Now let's talk about what they don't have, and we know that that is surveillance video. They said they don't have any city surveillance video from any of the 3 crimes that had happened, and they have very limited ring video from businesses and homes in the area. The few clips they do have, they just said they aren't comfortable releasing yet because they can't confirm if they are connected to these investigations. So really the big ask right now, we know they've had hundreds of tips, but that video is limited. So if you have anything outside of your home or business and you think it could be connected, they really do ask that you send that in.
And we hope that people respond to that message from law enforcement. Brittany Hope, thank you for that live update. Now, the third stabbing happened last night. A woman was stabbed at a homeless camp multiple times. She was actually the one who called 911. She was taken to the hospital, of course, and there were a few witnesses to this latest stabbing. And this brings us to another aspect of this story, which is the fact that there's a vulnerable population out there in the city of Davis. KCRA 3's Michelle Bandur joins us live with that portion of the story. Michelle, what resources is the city making available to the homeless folks that live out here in the city of Davis, who are undoubtedly fearful tonight?
Well, Ty, some 6 hours after the suspect stabbed that woman here in her tent at 2nd and L Street, police have just wrapped up their investigation here, collecting evidence and trying to identify the man, looking for any clues, the suspect who is putting the city on edge. Now, what you can see here after the police have left, there are some homeless advocates here talking to folks, trying to get them in the safe space. The people who stay here and witness the violence, they do need to find somewhere else to go, and the city and the police want to help them and other homeless stay safe. A third attack in Davis, the latest one at a homeless camp near 2nd and L Streets.
I hear her screaming, "Oh God, help, please, he's here."
Friends of the woman who was stabbed were in a tent next to hers when they say the attacker came to terrorize them and even yelled at the man that they recognized him as the knife-wielding killer.
I felt like he was lurking around my tent. I heard some sticks snapping. I heard my tarp snap, and I touched the back of my tent. It was tense at first and loosened up. And I was like, man, like, God, just protect us all, man.
The safety of our community is always our top priority. This includes members of our community who are experiencing homelessness.
The mayor of Davis says the city and police are working together to explore options to keep the unhoused safe. They're coordinating with providers such as the Davis Community Meals and Housing to get people indoors, especially overnight. They're looking for extra mattresses to put on the floor of the shelter to get as many people as they can out of the camps and into a safe space. Police are also looking to the homeless to help with the criminal investigation, trying to catch the killer before he attacks again.
Because of the nature of that interaction last night, we want to make sure that there hasn't been a nonviolent interaction with this person with any of the homeless community in the past couple of weeks. So that's one of the investigative tasks for today.
And back out live here at 2nd and L, where that third attack took place, you can see the homeless advocates here working to help people who are staying here. They're also, getting the belongings of the victim who was attacked and making sure that nothing happens to her belongings, that she had to leave here because, of course, she's in the hospital after that attack. And now these homeless advocates, along with the city, say because that suspect is still at large, they have to be very careful on how they coordinate their effort. They don't want to get in the way of the police investigation. And they also have to be very careful as to who they're speaking with because they don't want that suspect to come in and blend in with everyone else. So they are being very careful as they try to make sure that people here living on the streets are going to be in a safe place tonight and that another attack does not happen. Reporting live in Davis, Michelle Bandur, KCRA 3 News.
Yes, it is a very complicated and delicate process dealing with that population. Michelle Bandur, thank you for your live update. And of course, security is top of mind for anyone who lives within the city of Davis. And you can't talk about the Davis community without talking about UC Davis. An anchor for this community, defines the culture here. And the student population and the staff population at UC Davis, of course, is very concerned. We have heard from numerous individuals on campus there. For that, we go to KCRA 3's Melanie Wingo, and she is going to talk about the resources that are being made available and the changes that are happening on the UC Davis campus to keep both students and staff safe. Melanie?
It is all being talked about tonight, Ty, and as you heard Brittany Hope talk about a short time ago, the City of Davis Police Department is working on the investigation into the stabbings, but today we heard UC Davis officials, the university itself, addressing the very real concerns about safety and security on campus here in light of those 3 stabbings that happened off campus. But as the chancellor discussed today, the lines are pretty blurred when it comes to the City of Davis and the UC Davis campus itself. Now, Chancellor Gary May talking along with the UC Davis police chief today and the vice chancellor of student affairs, discussing safety and security measures that are now in place. For one, campus police saying additional resources are coming in from outside the area to assist on campus. Officers from UC Berkeley and UC San Francisco will be on site. Also, a security team from Sacramento-based Members in Black Security will be here on campus for a second night to help with security. The university is looking into temporary lighting to enhance visibility. Safe ride services will help shuttle students to and from off-campus locations for extended hours, 7 days a week until further notice. And starting tonight, as you heard Ty allude to, the campus will have classes that start after 6 p.m. conducted remotely. That is new as of today. All of this happening following those stabbings in the City of Davis in less than a week's time, which the campus leaders today acknowledged has caused great concern on campus and in the surrounding community.
You know, the issues that we're facing, they're real. These are very traumatic, very, very sad events where we have the loss of human life. The individual or individuals responsible for this have not been apprehended. The investigation is live as we go. We're using all of the resources that we have here, combined with the City of Davis and really some of the allied agencies around Davis and Yolo County, to put together the best effort that we can to be able to identify and apprehend and ultimately arrest the individual responsible for these crimes.
We also learned at a media briefing this afternoon that the Shields Library on campus will close tonight and through at least Monday at 8 p.m. instead of midnight each day. That is something that university officials said that they wanted to do as a measure of safety and security. And one thing the chancellor touched on in this afternoon's briefing as well was how this is all causing understandable stress and anxiety among students and staff members here on campus. And to those individuals, the university has said, please reach out, seek out support that you have access to through mental health services that are provided to students and staff members. Reporting live in Davis, Melanie Wingo, KCRA 3 News.
All right, Melanie, thank you. We just saw a bus load of UC Davis students get dropped off about 20 minutes ago, going back to where they live after a day full of classes. So a lot going on here in the community of Davis. Well, due to the security concerns, it's not just UC Davis making some changes. There's also a couple of businesses that have decided on their own to close early, despite the fact that there is no city curfew. We're talking about Woodstock's Pizza in downtown. They are closing at 9 tonight, and a local climbing gym is also closing early. And then tomorrow's farmers market in the city of Davis will not be happening. And again, this is businesses deciding on their own out of an abundance of caution to reduce their hours, to close down early, to keep a number of people off the streets that would otherwise be there. Out here live at the Davis Police Headquarters, of course, we're continuing to see a number of law enforcement agents going to and fro this headquarters here as they are trying to participate in this investigation. Coming up tonight at 6:30, the police chief will be at the city council meeting where the meeting has changed course. It was a regularly scheduled meeting, but now it is going to be all about this investigation of these 3 stabbings, 2 deadly, in the city of Davis. For now, live outside the Davis Police Headquarters, Ty Steele, KCRA 3 News. Edie Gulston, back to you.
Yeah, just obviously a very tense time right now in Davis. Ty, thank you.
Well, our coverage will continue on our KCRA 3 app. We invite you to check that out. We'll have the latest breaking news updates on this developing story, as well as other news and information from the community in Davis. Download the free KCRA 3 app.